All right, so Combine Day 1 is finished, and it was a great day for Combine, man. A lot of stuff to take away from today, a lot of key points to focus on. I'm going to give you just a quick rundown of the things that I noticed today. So Combine Day 1 was tight ends, quarterbacks, and wide receivers, and it was a really nice bunch of guys that were on the field today. So just kind of give you a quick run through. For tight ends, I don't really think anything really changed in terms of draft stock. I think everybody kind of stayed the same there. Cole Kmet, I think, kind of stood out as the number one guy for tight ends. I think he performed well. He ran a nice 40 time. He had good hands. Nothing really stood out in terms of negatives against him. So I think he kind of stays at that number one position for tight ends, and the rest of them kind of fell into place too. I don't think there was a whole lot of changing there. So nothing too big to report in terms of the tight ends. For quarterbacks, I think this is where things got shaken up quite a bit today. Jalen Hurts performed really, really well at the Combine today. He ran a 4.59 40. That was unofficial. I don't know what the official time was on that, but he, I think, was expected to lead the quarterback class in the 40 time, but he ran quick, man. He was really nice in the Combine today. He threw the ball extremely well. He was pretty accurate with everything. He had he was throwing his deep ball as well too, and I think that's kind of a question mark with him, is whether he's going to be able to get enough power behind his throws to get the balls downfield, and he looked like he was doing pretty well today. So he definitely stood out as kind of a key focal point of the Combine today. So it kind of makes me wonder whether he's going to start rising up draft boards for people or not. I could definitely understand why people would start to prioritize him in this quarterback class, because I really don't think there's a whole lot aside from the top couple of guys. And if you have someone like Hurts performing extremely well at the Combine, that's definitely going to shoot him off draft boards. So we'll see what happens with Hurts. I thought he did really, really well today. So this was the best time for him to perform like he did, and he nailed it. So now in terms of quarterbacks, Herbert really stood out to me as the number one guy. He was the number one quarterback on the field at all times. When he was on the field throwing the ball in his athletics, he was just clear-cut the best guy on the field. I think especially so because Burrow decided not to perform the Combine this year. He didn't run a 40. He didn't do anything in terms of throwing. He'll throw for Pro Day, but for the Combine today, he didn't do anything. So I think that actually was heavily in favor for Herbert, because he was able to really kind of stand out as the best quarterback on the field. That's going to help his draft stock. And I think when you consider that Burrow didn't perform at all today, Tua's hurt, Herbert's just the next guy. He's the next best thing that you're going to be able to get in this draft. And I stand behind that still when you look at Tua and when you look at Herbert. If Tua was still on the board and Herbert was on the board at number 5 for the Dolphins, I would have a hard time saying that you should take Tua over Herbert with how he played today. Man, he did just such a solid job on the field. He ran a 4.6 40. Really, really good, especially for a guy. He's 6'6", I think 230, something like that. I mean, he's just really, really athletic, raw athleticism. I like that about him. And man, his arm was on point today. He was throwing beautiful deep balls. Wasn't underthrowing or overthrowing anything. Everything was on target how it needed to be. He just looked far and away like the best quarterback on the field the entire time that he was on the field. And I kind of sat forward in my seat the entire time when he was being the focal point of his drills. And I wasn't disappointed. He was phenomenal today. So he's a big, big takeaway for the quarterbacks, and I think just really solidifies the stance that I take, that he is the guy. If the Dolphins need to draft a quarterback this year, if that's what they decide, he's the guy. I don't see how it could be anybody else at this point. So Herbert was phenomenal. I really think that a lot of NFL execs saw him today and are probably really, really excited to see, if they can get a chance to swipe him in the draft. So we'll see what happens with that. And then moving on to wide receivers, just a quick hit on some standouts for me. Justin Jefferson killed it today. He ran a 4.4 340. That was unofficial. Again, I didn't get a good look at all of the officials, but 4.4 340 for his run was, really, really good. I don't think anyone was expecting him to run that fast. Maybe in the higher end of the 4.4s, but I was expecting more in the lower 4.5s. So he ran really quick for what I thought he was going to do. His routes were crisp the entire time that he was on the field, and that didn't really surprise me. He's a really good route runner, and his hands are, I mean, next to perfect, man. I think he's got really good hands, so he really, I think, is going to start shooting up the draft board pretty fast for some people. He's a good receiver. He was Burrow's #1 guy for the majority of the year, and he showed out in the combine, so he did really just a solid job. Next guy that stood out to me, Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame, was ridiculous, man. He ran in the mid 4.4s for a guy who's 6'4", I think 6'4", and above 230 pounds to run in the mid 4.4s is ridiculous. He is the second guy, they said in the combine, since 2003 to ever do that, second being Calvin Johnson. So just crazy. So athletic. He had good hands today, so he was a big standout. Next up is Jerry Jeudy. He ran a nice 4.4 time. Everything else was pretty consistent with what he just is on the football field and what everyone else thought he would be. Really phenomenal routes, great hands, nothing negative about him during his combine, but he ran a nice 4.4. So I was actually pretty excited to see how quick he ran in the 40. Two wide receivers left that I want to talk about. Just real quick, I'm going to touch on them. Jalen Reagor ran a lot slower than I thought he would, and I think a lot slower than a lot of people thought that he would. His first time was unofficial, I'm looking at my notes here, I'm sorry, was a 4.47, and his second was an unofficial 4.540. Now, that's a huge knock against him, because I think he kind of predicated his game on his speed, his kind of down the field, just vertical kind of guy. Let him stretch the field out, let him, spread the defenses out, because he's got a lot of speed. He plays really quick. He plays almost like a 4.3, really low 4.4 kind of guy. He plays very fast. So the fact that he wasn't able to kind of get up to that speed today, it really surprised me. I was kind of taken back that he didn't run faster than that. So we'll see what that does with his draft stock. I'm not really sure. And then the last one, kind of what everybody was tuning in to see for these 40-yard dashes, was Henry Ruggs. And he didn't break the record, unfortunately. I was really pulling for him, but he ran a 4.27 official 40-yard dash, and I mean, just ridiculous. So I wouldn't be surprised, and you guys don't need to be surprised either, if he really shoots up the draft board for receivers. And when I say shoots up the draft board, I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if he gets taken over Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. He only dropped one pass last year. All of last year, he dropped one pass. He runs really good routes for a fast guy, and he's just ridiculously fast. He's the fastest guy in the draft. I don't think anybody else is going to beat that 40 time. Maybe one of the cornerbacks, but I really don't think so. So he's just a super dynamic guy on the football field. He's got sure hands, and that's what I like about him. Is usually with these super fast guys, you sacrifice sure-handedness, but he really just brings that to the table. So I like Henry Ruggs a lot as a prospect. And I wouldn't be all that surprised if a team looked at him and then looked at CeeDee Lamb, who ran a 4.5 today, and say, you know what, maybe we go with Ruggs just due to the fact that he has blazing speed. He can beat anybody on the football field with that speed. We'll see. He showed out. He ran really good routes today. He had great hands. Obviously the fastest 40 time in the combine today. So those were my major takeouts. Ruggs was killer. Chase Claypool was killer. I think Justin Jefferson, kind of all around for the receivers, probably performed the best just in terms of what people weren't expecting him to do and what he did do. So I like Justin Jefferson, and then I think Herbert was just the clear guy in terms of quarterbacks to really just be the guy on the football field. I'm really excited to see what else the rest of the guys bring in terms of the combine and their pro days and all that. So stay tuned, guys, for everything. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to hit that bell notification so that you can know when I'm putting out updates. I'm going to try and update you guys as much as possible. For free agency, I'm going to be pumping out videos as much as I possibly can. I want to keep you guys updated on all the signings that go on throughout the league for sure, but I mean, especially with the Dolphins. So please hit the bell just so you know, and also subscribe. Make sure you help grow the channel. We're going to make it one day, that's for sure. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night, and as always, fins up.